But I'm going to spend the next 25 minutes, half an hour, talking you through our new strategic plan, CPG Thrive. And then I'll probably just start with just a little recap of the journey we've been on. It has been quite a journey, and it's only just starting in many ways because we've done the planning. And obviously, as we go into 2021, it's really about activating it. And obviously, what I want you to take from this is, how do you make it work for you? How do you make CPG work for you? How do you make this plan work for you? Because that's the key. It's all very well as developing a very nice looking plan, and I believe a very exciting future, but it all revolves around you as our members, and how we benefit you, how we work with you, and how the game benefits as a result of that. I'm just going to take a little step back and look at what's brought us to this point. So in the middle of 2018, we embarked on a project that we entitled Collaboration and Digitalization. And we put Aston at the forefront of that. And it was in two parts, as the title would suggest. It was, how do we collaborate as a group of PGAs more effectively, keeping your autonomy, but enabling you to benefit more from a collective culture? Secondly, how do we use technology in order to enhance that? How do we embrace technological advancements in order to make the community stronger, the sense of belonging stronger? And we went through a little phase with that. We took some advice from a gentleman called Mats Enquist, who is the vice chairman or vice president of the PGA of Sweden, but his day job is running the football league in Sweden. And how he took their model of the league having certain rights, and their members, effectively the football clubs, 32, ironically, 32 football clubs in Sweden, and bring them together using technology so that they do exactly what we're talking about, which is enable them to benefit from the collective, but still have their autonomy. And that gave us the basis for the work that we embarked upon. The key takeaway we took from being in his offices in Stockholm was, we need to take our members with us. Do not spring any surprises on them. Involve them every step of the way. And I believe that's what we've done over the last couple of years. The other thing he said was, it will take a few years. It's taken them 5 years to get to where they are, and now that they've achieved those kind of 5 years, they've got a tripling of the revenue for the league and for the clubs. So the success is there to see. But he said, you'll get resistance at first, but as people see the benefits of the collective approach, then they'll come with you, and they'll come with you at the various stages. And that's what really our plan is all about. So at the end of 2018, as you know, the PGA of GB&I decided that they felt it was not a direction that they wanted, and they departed from our membership. And this gave us, in some ways, a challenge, particularly around our trademark, but it also created new opportunities, because it was our belief, and in talking to our members and our board, that our best choice was to be in control of our own destiny and build the services and build the collective from this point. And that meant starting to work towards a change of name, which wouldn't be in breach of any trademark situations. And actually, I think more than just a change of name, it also enabled us to clarify and reposition the future of our organization, building on 30 years of success and 30 years of history, but also building in a fresh, new, energetic way, an ambitious way. So end of September 2019, we launched our new name and new brand. And it was based on a belief of three things. And these three words have really stuck with us throughout when we're building our plan for the future, and come into force in everything we do on a daily basis. So was based on togetherness, the belief that we're stronger together, that the collective is greater than the sum of its parts, and a real shift in culture to increase the sense of belonging, increase our voice nationally and internationally, and increase our influence, and really capitalize on the collective knowledge and the power of that international community that our membership provide. So it's this real spirit of a collective culture, seeing CPG as an extension of yourselves rather than in any way an external body that could be competitive. You know, that is the last thing we're trying to do. It's really about bringing everybody together with this sense of belonging. Then the second word we used was collaboration. Really the true spirit of working together, how we could work together far more effectively. We recognize that in nearly all cases, we've not got enough money, we've not got enough time, we've not got enough people. So how do we create new business efficiencies to stop duplication of efforts? How do we create economies of scale through the collective force of 30 odd national PGAs, and as we know, a network of about 12,500 PGA members across that. And how do we create collective opportunities, and in all those areas, not take anything away, not force anything on any PGA, but rather add value and add opportunities. And then the third part was development. And development's been at the core of what we've always believed in. And that's not just golf development in terms of increasing participation. It's development of you as peoples, it's development as people, it's development of leaders, it's development of staff, it's development of your members, it's better organizational structures, better efficiencies, as we talked about in those structures. And it also is developing the game, because if the game is going to develop, it will be PGA members who will be at the center of that. That's been the case for 120 years or more, and that will continue. They are the skilled workforce for the game, and ultimately the ones who will help implement any strategies that the various bodies in the game put forward. So in 2020, obviously COVID hit, and that affected us all. And in some ways, what it enabled us to do is really put our focus onto our planning, onto the structure, onto the strategy moving forward. And we took a long time internally and with our board looking at what that strategy should look like, and how I guess we go from being a kind of low cost, low resource administrative body, because whilst we've achieved so much over the last 10 or 15 years, our revenues haven't really increased, and our pressure on the percentage of income that we get, firstly from our membership subscriptions, and secondly from our grant income from external bodies. We wanted to create a more sustainable revenue streams for ourselves, think a bit more proactively, think a bit more commercially. And so we built that all up to the launch of CPG Thrive roughly a year on from the change of our name and brand. And that was building on those three things that I said. Aston, could you just roll forward a slide or two? Thank you. So CPG Thrive. The basis of it is a plan that enables us to be sustainable and thrive, helps you be sustainable and thrive, and the sport thrive. And so how do we go about that? And really, what's the impact as to how people are going to, how you are going to benefit from it? Well, firstly, it's a fundamental shift in our strategy. As I say, it's more of an evolution, but it's a more ambitious way of thinking than ever before, I think. Positive change, development, modernization, working with the members far more closely for the benefit of your members and the game. A new culture, embrace new technologies, look at the resources around us, and the key impacts of that plan should affect a number of different parties. It should affect CPG. How do we maximize the value of and the collective influence of you as our members? And as such, how do we increase the benefits we're able to provide you in the game? Our members, through a one CPG model of services and support and a collective culture, how do we enable you all to be more effective, more efficient, but still retain your independence that we've talked about? Your members, the PGA member, collectively provide additional tools to support you to provide better education, better development, career opportunities, and business opportunities. Engaging with the corporate world. Some of our larger PGAs enjoy really successful commercial programs. Most of our smaller members are just not able to do that. And our own challenges in the corporate world were that we were still operating under an old model, and we were operating in a model which was based around brand association, based around communication with your members, which at times caused challenges, and didn't really offer enough different touch points for corporate partners to get involved. So better engagement with the corporate world, better and more varied offering as a result of that. And then the amateur golfer. Nobody really is working closely with the amateur golfer. How can we do that in a way which benefits you as PGAs, benefits your members, increases engagement with the end consumer? And one of the areas that we're exploring with that, which we'll talk about over the next few days as well, is the national club PGA approach, whereby an amateur golfer can feel like they have an engagement with the national PGA, and they also have international benefits, both digital and physical. So our focus is on engagement, increasing our revenue, increasing our influence, but more importantly, your influence, providing leadership, providing strong services, and actually kind of moving away a little bit from the subscription model to be a much more service-based engagement with you. We always pride ourselves on high standards and excellence, and we always pride ourselves in the fact we're having fun. We're passionate about what we do, we enjoy what we do, and those will really be the key values that we take forward. So we've got this really ambitious plan. It will only succeed if we all believe in it. We share the vision, we share the ambition, and we make it reality. There's going to be some things that limit us. One of them might be engagement. How do we really create this sense of belonging for you? How do we really make sure you see what is in it for you? And we've tried certain forums. So we have a leadership forum where we invite our PGA leaders to come along. We do that every 6 weeks or so. We probably get 10 to 12 PGAs out of 30 odd members. We want more. We want more engagement. So what's stopping that? Is it time? Is it having the right people? Is it having enough people? Is it money at times that are preventing these things? So these will be the basis for our discussions today. How can we all be more effective, more efficient, and how can you really see benefit from committing the time to making these progressive changes? So we redefined our purpose, and it's very much in line with our old purpose. We exist to unite, promote, and support our member countries in order to provide a strong collective voice, increase influence both nationally and globally, and to collaborate to maximize the development and business opportunities for you and with you, for your PGA members and for the game. And our vision is to be a leading, sustainable, and that's sustainable in every sense of the word, sustainable financially and sustainable in being meaningful to the game, influential international body through the strong membership that benefit both operationally and financially from a collective approach for the good of your members and the game. And then we came up with this hashtag, We Are One CPG, which is what we really want you to feel. So the guiding principles, I won't talk too much more about now because we've shared them. But what I would reiterate again is they're extremely important words, and they're more than just words. They are really the guiding principles that we use to decide whether to do something or whether to not, so that we keep our focus. How we operate. We want a thriving CPG, strong and sustainable financial foundations. We'll talk about how we're going to get there. A thriving membership, helping you share good practice with each other, having the right standards, the right structures, providing you with efficiency and effectiveness. And then ultimately, we get those things right, the game benefits. The game benefits from having a skilled workforce. The game benefits from having the right programs being promoted. And the game benefits from changing the perception of the sport and making it more inclusive. And that's going to take some investment. And so we see the three things which we need to find the money, find the resources to invest in as being these are enablers of the plan. So investing in you, investing time in you, investing money in you if we've got it, finding that additional resources to spread the rewards from collective opportunities to you as members. To invest in people. How do we get the right people around us? Not just our staff, our board, our advisors, volunteers, the right people in your organizations to help you. And innovation. This is going to be key. Using technology, the best available technology to transform our business and help you transform your business. So we came up with 7 priorities, 7 strategic priorities, and I'm just going to run through these one by one. These will form the basis of the discussions now for the next 2 days, for many of the things for us to expand upon, get your view on, and also really start to think about how it's going to make an impact and the priorities that we put into place for 2021. So we start with governance. Not the sexiest subject, but actually it really enables us to create the right structure, to create the right foundations. So what we've done is we've developed a new business structure. We have CPG as an entity is exactly what it's always been. It's a company limited by guarantee. It's got limited liability for you as the members. It's a £1 liability, but it can't share. It's a not-for-profit effectively, and it can't share revenues or dividends with the membership. So what we've done is we've set up CPG Services Limited, and CPG Services Limited is 100% owned by CPG. Therefore, it's 100% owned by the membership. And the plan with that is to move all our commercial activity into CPG Services or a subsidiary of CPG Services. This creates 2 benefits. One, it removes the risk of investment. Now, if we need to invest in certain areas, such as technology, in order to build a better future, and if any of that for any reason goes wrong, it's removed the risk from the membership. Secondly, it enables us through the subsidiaries to get some external investment if we need it, again, to invest in technology, invest in our members, invest in people. And so underneath CPG Services, we've also created CPG Digital Services and CPG Knowledge and Development Services. And we will have the opportunity within those to bring in third-party investment, maybe through the members, maybe through others. But this structure should just enable us to think a little bit more commercially, think a bit more ambitiously as we move forward. Create the one CPG management model. We'll talk a lot about that in the next session. Ensure a robust and sustainable financial model. That's what I've talked about just now. Is we are a little dependent at the moment on a limited number of areas for our income, and we want to make sure that we're entirely self-sustainable for the future. And embrace modern, remote and flexible working. Well, that's been enforced upon us anyway in the current time by COVID, but we were probably ahead of the curve. I have the luxury here of being sat in a very nice garden office, but we moved out of the Belfry at the end of last year, and I think we fully embraced modern remote working, and we feel like we are very productive as a result of it. Ensure effective governance and the right team to succeed, and that's the board, the staff, consultants, advisors around us, business advisors, etc., and delivery partners. So we'll talk more about that again. Aston will have the first of our delivery partners he'll talk about that in this next session. Membership, I won't talk too much about this because it is our next session. And membership has two parts to it. It's our members and it's your members. So how do we get a wider, more engaged CPG membership? We move to more of a service relationship with you, and that's a two-way service relationship. And then from your side, what does the future of PGA membership look like, and what services are you able to provide to your members? The next area, digital services. The digital services, this has really been the fruition of the work that we've been doing for the last couple of years, or 18 months or so. And it's valuable digital services to provide you with a shared resource, a shared system, and how do we then turn that into real digital services as a result of that? Secondly, the communications, looking at the effectiveness of our communications and making sure that they're impactful. So again, all of these areas will be talked upon in much further detail as we move forward. But our aim is to create the most comprehensive digital management suite for you to benefit from, and your members to benefit from, by providing innovative and engaging content, and really facilitate an international community. First and foremost, they're your members, but also enable them to communicate across other countries with other PGA members who would have shared interests. So for example, if they've got an interest in junior coaching, we can have an international community for people who are interested in junior coaching and furthering junior coaching. On to knowledge and development services. I think education has been at the heart of what we do for so long, and all the way back to, I believe, 1993, we had the Rome Agreement, which was an agreement that actually one education program for Europe didn't make sense, but a framework for education and mutual recognition of qualifications did make sense. Well, now we think we've got the opportunity to continue with that, but also create a central knowledge hub, to create a hub online through a learning management system, whereby, again, you can all be more efficient by having access to shared resources, to shared content, that you'll still have your own framework, your own modules which you can take, and you will still be recognized nationally, but also enables the individual from a country who that doesn't have full education programs for their education to be recognized, and try and avoid the huge costs of having to travel abroad to complete a PGA qualification. And secondly, how do we create something which is far more outward facing in terms of an education framework, so that people's qualifications, people's competencies, professionals' competencies can be more publicly visible to the employers and to the end user. And then what can we offer to the development of the game? We can offer products, we can offer people, and people's the key. Through our combined membership, we have the skilled workforce for the game. We have the international experience, the knowledge, the languages, the understanding of cultures, which puts the collective, our network at the core of developing the game internationally. We can look at it, supporting particular programs and initiatives. And wouldn't it be great if we can really collaborate with other parts of the golf industry for us all to get behind similar initiatives, similar programs? And obviously we can use promotion to change people's perceptions, to tell everybody that golf is health enhancing, that it's socially beneficial, etc., etc. And so really using those education and development services. We're fortunate to be a stakeholder in Ryder Cup Europe. Just move on. Thanks, Aston. Ryder Cup Europe, and particularly with our management of Ryder Cup European Development Trust. Two things we want to, I guess, improve on that is collaborate far more and integrate the trust far more within Ryder Cup Europe. Continue to raise the influence of and the importance of the Ryder Cup, and make sure that it really benefits the game through supporting back through the trust. We'll have a session on Thursday where I'll talk a little bit more about our plans for the trust. But the key to it is to be a little more proactive with how we're utilizing the funds available to us with the trust to make sure that we maximize its impact. But yeah, we're very, very fortunate to be a part of the Ryder Cup. Obviously saddened it was postponed this year, but 2021 certainly promises to be exciting on that front. Commercial partnerships and our events. I've talked about this already, but creating a new structure, working with you to make sure that we're not competitive with you in any way, but instead we're creating more touch points with the commercial world, more benefits with the commercial world, and hopefully generate some higher revenues through those partnerships that we're able to create. And that really is the key to commercial moving forward, to partnerships moving forward. It's moved from sponsorship to partnerships. How do any corporate partners we have really benefit our businesses and benefit your members' businesses, and how do we benefit their business? So it becomes far more than just a sponsorship. And we've got some areas that we'll talk about tomorrow specifically on that. Our events. We have a growing sanctioned event schedule through our programs. That's grown without us really putting too much attention in to proactively growing it. And what we've done is taken the decision that actually we'd like to own a couple of events and own a couple of programs as well to supplement the tournament schedule, because that then gives us, again, another asset, another way we can benefit our commercial partners, and another event where actually we can see the benefit from activating that more than just running the golf. And secondly, creating a shared calendar We will be announcing a new relationship with Golf Genius, hopefully very soon. And part of that will be a shared event calendar where you can publicize your events. And if you want to open them up beyond your membership to other PGAs, you'll be able to do that. And we'll be able to communicate a shared fixture list effectively for that. And finally, relationships. Working on real collaboration on a national basis, helping you have strong relationships with your federations, which is obviously extremely important to success. Us having strong and meaningful relationships. So that's not just us getting on well, that's really how do we benefit each other. Working with the R&A, working with the European Tour, working with the Ladies European Tour and other bodies across the game, really examining how we can collaborate better for the benefit of the game and not duplicate efforts and activities and potentially confuse the market by rolling out initiatives that look similar but are slightly different. So increasing our collaboration is at the heart of the plan as well. And that should all come together into a nice summary, which you can see there as to how each of the parts pull together. So I think, Aston, hopefully that is me providing an overview of the plan. And I know I'll hand over to you now when you'll talk about a specific part of it, really the digital services. Aston?
Thanks, Ian. I'm just going to advance this along. So Ian's already mentioned a little bit about the project activity. And just for anyone who's watching who isn't aware of the project or hasn't had too many touch points, then basically the project activity that I've been tasked with, we set out on pretty much exactly 2 years ago now. And the key aim there was to, exactly as the title suggests, not the catchiest title, but exactly as the title suggests, collaboration and digitalization. So on all of it is fundamentally looking at where we can generate business efficiencies, business opportunities, economies of scale, and all these kinds of things that play on the collective approach of all the countries working together and contributing in their own ways. So the collaboration side was very much about engagement, getting the membership engaged, engaging not just with the membership, but with the right people and the right bodies, and reinvigorating that, if you like, a little bit across the whole organization. And then the digital side, many of the things that Ian's just been through as part of CPG Thrive, there is a role for innovation and technology to play in supporting, facilitating, operating, driving, however you look at it, to get those going, not least because of the geographical boundaries that we all have, the widespread, but also just because there's so many benefits from moving more and more into a digital space. Digital transformation is the term that you'll probably hear widely used nowadays. And that's very much what we're going through. It's a shift, as Ian's talked about, in our mentality as an organization to be more commercially minded, to be a bit more business minded, and all more focused on a value proposition for our members. And the digital side of that is a key driver. Even in my time that I've worked for the organization, then digital has been our fundamental focus of 95%, if you like, of everything that we do across a year. The event side of things is obviously really important. And ideally, I'd be standing in a room explaining this to you face to face. But through the wonders of modern technology, I can talk you through it on here. But it's been an absolute pleasure to be able to work on this project across the last couple of years. And I'm really, really pleased to be able to go through a couple of things now that will allow us and show you the work that we've done and allow you to see where we're at. And we're right on the edge of a really, really exciting period of the project. So give a bit of an update on the project activity. Obviously, we've continued with research. Research is fundamental to the project being valuable, actually being relevant to the relevant type of people that are going to use it, particularly the member country PGAs. We've used the leadership forums, working groups, virtual visits, more virtual this year for obvious reasons than perhaps last year, and used all that data to bring it together and really try and understand how our organizations are working, what the good things are, what the bad things are, the challenges, the opportunities, how can we get this going? As Ian said right at the top of when he begun his section, he said, what are the barriers to doing this? And that's what we want to find out. How can we identify those barriers, and how can we fix them? How can we deal with them? How can we turn them into a positive and get this moving? So there's been some key activities that we've worked through, and I'll just briefly touch on a couple of those, and it will give you an update. The bullet points on this page do not do it justice, I can assure you, because it's been incredibly exciting to work on this year. And as Ian says, it's been the planning year. If anything, a lockdown in the UK and a lockdown in various other places has allowed us to focus our minds and get on with doing some of this planning. And it's put us in a really good position for what I'll show you shortly. So we started 2020 looking at what are the functions that we need. We've done a big piece of research. We identified those functions, and then we went through a process of mapping them all out and then applying a value to them based upon how necessary they are, how valuable they are, their likelihood in terms of generating revenue, and the various other sort of items to allow us to effectively prioritize those functions across what we would like to do. Now, those of you that have been involved with the project before, you'll have seen there's 9 functional areas. We're still working on those 9 functional areas, but they're still the sort of broad categories that we're working on. And what we've done is we've gone through that process and we've identified what are the best things to get going with first. And I'll come to that again in a second. We've also looked at the value offering for the users. Now, the platform that we're going to create is going to have different types of users. Some will be administrative, some will just be purely using the system. And that will be the CPG, that will be member country PGAs, that will be PGA members themselves, and then that will be golfers as well. There are 4 user types. And so what we've done is we've mapped out all of the functions and then applied the value of why is this useful? Why is this going to be beneficial to that user? And so in the case of most of you who are watching today, the member country PGAs, it's looking at what piece of that functionality is going to result in a time saving, a cost saving, a revenue stream, or the facilitation of an existing or new revenue stream that you want to get going, or just the facilitation of an activity that might then bring intangible or tangible value to it as well. We also look then at the revenue modeling. So the big part of the driver of the platform is to enable it to drive revenue for us to then reinvest back in the platform, reinvest back into your memberships. And so we've modeled those revenue streams and the potential of how they could grow over time. And that's allowing us to build up not just a value offering of saying, okay, this might save you a bit of time. We're trying to apply actual monetary values to these so that you can see this is actually going to bring value of X euros per member or X euros per organization. We've also worked really, really hard on, I've got to thank Tom, who's listening in today as well, on our digital services strategy as part of CPG Thrive. You saw that one of the strategic pillars there was digital services. And Tom and I in particular have worked on that, and especially including a communications strategy, which is pretty different to where we've been up until now. We've been very proud of where we've been up till now, but ultimately we need to evolve. We know we need to change. We then looked at all of these different elements and all of the different requirements, and we've said, okay, when do we want to get this going? Now, the simple answer to that is we want to get it going yesterday, but we've also had to prioritize, and we know that it's a step-by-step process. So we've looked at what's going to have to come first, and then what can proceed based upon those requirements. And then we've done a lot of separate documentation development. So platform integrations, non-functional requirements, the high-level architecture, all fancy words, buzzwords, but what it means is that we've created a lot of the background activity, the background getting stuff out of my brain onto a piece of paper or onto a screen so that people can understand it and we can share it and we can do something with it. And so this year, as I said, has been really incredibly useful, allowing us to do that. Now, what I'm really excited to say, and this is literally happened in the last couple of days, is that we moved through a next phase. We knew quite a while ago, to be fair, that one of the key things that we were going to have to do is go through a full discovery phase. So there's this phrase, discovery phase. What that means is taking all of the work that we've done and then getting a technology partner, people who actually build these platforms, build these products, to look at it all, to work out how we're going to get it done. And I'm really, really pleased. And I believe at least one of the guys from our friends at Microland might even be listening in now. But I'm really, really pleased to say that we've engaged with Microland, who are going to help us do that discovery phase. So Microland, just a brief overview, they're listed in our expo, and you can see them as one of the partners. They are leaders in Microsoft product services and transformation. They started in 1989, which might be a familiar year to those of you who've been following us for 3 decades as well. They've got over 4,000 staff, and as you can see, their headquarters is in India, but they actually have people all over the world, and we see that as being a really fantastic benefit. Now, that discovery phase is going to take approximately 6 weeks. Where that will take us to is give us a couple of deliverables that I'll come to in a second. But we're going to get that started now. We are literally starting Friday, Thursday, we finished the Congress. Friday, first thing in the morning, I'm going to be on the phone and we're going to be doing this. And that's 6 weeks is a go. And so that means that very early into 2021, we're going to be actively getting on with this, which is really, really exciting. So just that discovery phase, just very briefly, not going to read through any of these, and a lot of them even don't make sense to me. But this is the things that we're going to work on through this discovery phase. So some really detailed elements about how this is actually going to work, how it's going to be built. And what we want to do is come out of that discovery phase with a very, very clear idea of the timeline, as in how we're going to build this from beginning and then across a period of time to get all of the functional areas that we want, as well as a cost, because we need to generate the revenue in order to be able to activate this. And it's a little bit of a catch-22 because we see this as being a revenue generator itself, and that's where the investment comes in. So that's what we're working really hard on. So you can see all of these areas that we're going to look at. And really, the focus of this discovery phase is going to be on something called a minimum viable product, an MVP. This MVP is going to basically be the minimum level of function that we think we can get going and generate enough value for you guys. So the MVP, it might look simple, but it won't be. But it's basically going to have these 4 areas. There's going to be a CRM-based administration system. Now, that might be completely brand new for your organization, or that might be something that simply integrates with what you already have. That's going to allow you to manage your membership, manage the subscriptions of your members, and allow them to be able to access a online portal to manage their kind of admin of their membership. So all of the details that are associated with them. Now, the really, really key point on this is that CRM administration system is yours. If you're one of the countries that are going to use this system, it's yours. We are not going to own that data. You own your data. We have absolutely no intention of accessing that, with the only small exception of accessing anonymous data. Now, this is something that if you've spoken to me about the platform before, I've always tried to hammer home. It's going to be anonymous. I'm not bothered about a member's date of birth or exactly where they live, but I am bothered about how old they are. I'm bothered about their kind of demographics. I'm bothered about what type of facility they work in, because the more countries that we get to contribute in together, the better our data is going to be in terms of how we can use that as a collective. It's a bit like the big data, another one of those buzzwords that you've probably heard about. We're also going to have one of those membership card functions. This is a big one that we've been talking about. And I'll show you what we're thinking about that in a second, but effectively a live digital membership card that we can have unlimited sides on as well. Communications channels that will allow you to send messages through the platform to your members, and then payment functionality. It's really important if we're going to drive revenue, then we actually need to be able to bring that revenue in. So we'll be building in some kind of third-party system like PayPal or WorldPay, something like that that allows us to bring that in. So just to finish off, before I hand over to our friend Colin, I just wanted to show a caveat to this. This is a mock-up. This is not what it's going to look like. This is just an example of what we're thinking. So we've got the MVP dashboard. So imagine you are, and he might be listening, Alex in the PGA of Austria, who's going to be looking after the kind of membership management. He would be able to see this dashboard and be able to access the various different functional areas. You can see there was a menu on the left-hand side. This will repeat in a second. There's a menu on the left-hand side where it allows you to view the different functions. You'll be able to interact with the CPG, with other PGAs, but primarily operate the administrative elements of what you need to do. And then as you'll see, the card function is an example. That's where, for example, you would log in and be able to adjust your membership card, how it looks, where the data is placed, and also add various other cards. There you go. You can just see it on the screen now. Payment cards, loyalty cards. That's our big dream. And so how would that look for a member? So imagine you are a member of the PGA of Austria, where you would access the platform using your relevant access point, and then you would have a membership card, and you'd be able to view it on your screen. You can see there's a front, there's a back, and then there's a gold international side, as well as some loyalty cards beneath. And if you tap on the card, you'll be able to show it, and there you are. That's exactly what you'll be able to show when you're showing off that you're a PGA member. So these are illustrations only, but it's just to give you a bit of an idea about this is the kind of environment that we're looking to make, something that's exciting, dynamic, very simple to use, and allows you to offer something to your members that will offer them great service, great value from you, and tie them into something that's on an international scale as well. So I think that's all about it from me in terms of the project activity. There's so much more I can go into. I'm sure I'll be speaking to more of you about it. But what I'd like to do now is just hand over to our friend Colin Bell. And Colin, I think you'll be able to jump on, and then I'll hand it over to you.
Excellent. Hello, everybody. I'm hoping you can hear me clear. Welcome. We go from one house to another, as is the situation this year. Great to have so many people with us today. My name is Colin Bell, and for those of you who I haven't met before, it's an absolute pleasure to be involved this week and just have this opportunity to come and share with you the work that we've been doing recently, which is aligned to this exciting new vision and strategic plan that's been set out by CPG. And yes, I do have a Scottish voice, but I can promise you I'm currently based in Europe. So this is really exciting for me to see so many countries involved today. And I'm very conscious that the first session here of the Congress, it has involved quite a lot of detail so far. And so I'm going to keep this very high level. And I'm just going to start by taking you back to the basics, which you're all dealing with on the ground in your country in terms of golf development. So I'm going to get Aston to give me a wee hand here. If we can flick to the next slide, Aston, please. Thank you. At least one person can definitely hear me then. So as you well know, the development of golf in any country, and including your own countries, whether you're a national PGA, whether you're an individual PGA professional, or you're a national golf association, it's a process, it's a journey, and just like with player development, it's not always linear. It's not always easy to make progress. It's got complexities, it's got challenges, and it's not always obvious where you can find the good support and advice for this. But I'm delighted to tell you that the exciting new direction and ambition within the CPG Thrive strategic plan, this sets out to address this and evolve the support that's going to be available to you on this journey. The support is going to be available through a new framework, which we've called CPG Thrive Services. And this is designed to be both simple to use, but also comprehensive. And it's going to offer support and expertise in all of the key areas, which we're calling pillars, all the key areas of development in terms of taking the game forward in a country. The objective, as you'll see here from the slide, is to provide support for member country PGAs, but also for individual PGA professionals and just generally for golf in your country. So if we hop on, Aston, to the next slide, we're going to just take a quick look at what are CPG Thrive services. As you can see here, we're trying to offer something which is a tailor-made strategic support to individuals, organizations like yourselves, and countries in taking golf development forward. It's got to be something practical, it's got to be usable for you and your team, and most importantly, it's got to enable and support you to have impact in the work that you're doing on the ground. It's definitely something that will need to be delivered in collaboration, and it needs to be led by you and your needs. So in simple terms, very simple terms, Thrive Services is just 3 parts. It's an easy to use 7-step process for development, which we've set out. It's individualized support to help you work through this process, whichever step that you're currently at on your kind of development of the game in your country and the development of your organization. And the third area is that it will be supported by various people, products, programs, and resources that are all going to be available under 18 Thrive Services pillars. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a flavour today of parts 1 and 3. So on the next slide, we'll see an overview of this simple 7-step process. It's a snapshot that we can support you with through CPG, and I'm not going to go through all of these in detail just now. You can take a moment to scan those headers, but the main point really here is to highlight step 1. Before CPG can offer expertise, advice or support, as they're doing now, it's really critical that they understand and develop the knowledge of what's currently happening on the ground and research all of the sort of archives and historical data and reports from any past visits and collaborations and work with your organisations. And once we've completed that kind of foundational analysis and developed our understanding of the fabric of golf in your country and what stage you're at right now, what challenges you have, it's really critical that we listen to you and we take that time to build those relationships with the key people involved in your country. However, whatever guidance and experience CPG can provide, as a national PGA or a national association, you obviously have to feel like you own that development process over time and that you have responsibility over the success of that process, and we're just there to provide a helping hand. And on the next slide, what you'll see is a simple snapshot of the CPG Thrive framework, which includes the services pillars, the 18 pillars we talked about, and also some more information down the bottom. So please bear in mind, Aston, if you could jump to the next slide, that'd be really helpful. Thank you. We'll zoom in on the top part here, and it will show you 3 sections. Please bear in mind, though, that these pillars of support that we've laid out here, they're not restricted to only being within their section. So we've tried to look at it as, how do you help develop people, how do you help develop organisations, and how do you help develop the game in countries? And certain pillars of support do naturally fit under some of these areas. But of course, there will be pillars within the development of people section that could be equally helpful and applicable to perhaps a national PGA. There's also areas within development of the game in the countries that maybe an individual person might wish to access and learn from. And you'll see that going forward, CPG is going to provide direct support to each country with a mentor listed at the bottom here to help you with that 7-step development process and to help with identifying the pillars of support that are most valuable to you at any given time, and then how you actually access those. If you can pop onto the next slide, Aston, what we'll see is, zooming in a little bit in the bottom here, and don't worry about digesting all of this at the moment, we'll share this with you after the Congress, but the services and the support area within the framework, it contains some people, programs, products that you'll already recognise the names and you'll be aware of and familiar with, but there's also a number of new areas in there which we're currently developing and we're preparing to help you with this framework going forward. So in the next slide, all we want to highlight is a couple of key points about collaboration and impact. And obviously collaboration is a big theme, it's a big word, and it's part of the values of CPG. Impact is a big one for me because there's some of the roles I've been involved in the past. The most important thing that's kind of missed out is, how do we make sure that from the outset, everything we're doing is to try and have some impact on the ground there, and that's going to be measurable impact. The RNA will be launching their new development strategy early next year, and CPG are already in discussion about how they can support and work together on that. However, ultimately, as you know, the impact of creating any development framework or any strategy, resources or support, it's really going to be driven by the engagement level. So the team at CPG really believe, from all the years of learning about golf in your countries, about your organisations and about your individual people and building those relationships, what's going to be on offer now through Thrive Services will be a really valuable support to your work. The plan is to have workshops available in early 2021 to help understand what areas we can really help you with. And just as a final closing word on the next slide, if you like the sound of this, which we hope you do, the obvious questions are, what next? How can I find out more, and where do you start? Full details of these Thrive services and support, they will be circulated following the Congress. Most important thing is just take a look at the document we'll share with you. Tell us what you think. Any feedback is going to be extremely helpful. And obviously, we would love to speak with you and your team, your organisation, and discuss how we can help you going forward. And don't worry if it looks at that stage as even just a screenshot of a framework. There's quite a lot of things in here. What happens if we don't need support in all of these areas right now? That's absolutely fine. Ultimately, everyone's going to be at a different stage. People will have differing needs as individual professionals. Organisations, national PGAs and national associations will also have differing needs. So easiest analogy is to think about it like the menu and the waiter. So CPG Thrive Services, it's going to be a menu of service and support available to you. Think of CPG as your experienced waiter. We will walk you through the menu and we'll help you to consider what support can have the best impact on your objectives. So I hope that's really clear and nice as a sort of quick summary, and gives you a bit of excitement as to what's to come when we share this with you following the Congress.
That's great. Thanks, Colin. So before we head over to the breakout groups, Ian, do you just want to jump in with anything?
Yep, hopefully you can hear me. There was a lot to digest there in an hour. I'm very conscious of that, and thanks Aston and Colin for the input. But it really sets the scene for the next few days, and hopefully shows all of you the huge planning that we've been through. And obviously we've now, we've had that time to plan, and now it's activation time. But also how excited we are by the direction that we're going, how passionate we are about making it succeed, and that, it's really there for everybody. And what we're really keen on making sure is these documents aren't just documents that sit on a shelf and look nice and are there with loads of very nice words in them. Instead of that, it's really, how does it make a difference? How do we make a difference to you? And your needs will all be different. We fully recognize that. And some will choose to embrace more parts than others. But even if you embrace just a little bit of it, that's what we're really asking, and that's what we're really trying to find out. And so this next hour in these discussions, I know Aston will tell us what to do next in terms of going into the breakout groups. But I'd really like you to think about, I think we're more excited and more ambitious than we've ever been. And I'm going to just reiterate that it will only succeed with you and you believing in it as well. And, we're all limited. We're all limited with the amount of time we've got, with the resources available to us, the people and the money available to us. And so I guess we need to be realistic as well. We need to really focus on what we can achieve when we can achieve it. And, that's all part of it as well. What we want to do, as Colin said in kind of his conclusion, is we want to work through individually with each of you and create this in a bespoke way. What is most important to you? How can we make you more effective, more efficient? And we have a number of questions that we'll talk about over the next hour and over the next couple of days. But I really hope that you share our enthusiasm and excitement for where we're going, and that it can really involve and impact you in the way we really believe it can.